coming out. I'll give you all an official introduction. So here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of Clarke Middle School, I am so happy you all have had the time to come join us today because we have a very special guest
Are you good at speaking
who
loud?
has graciously taken time out to speak to us today for Black History Month. She is the head women's basketball coach at the University of Georgia. She is the first female and African-American female to serve in this position. In her inaugural year as coach, her team won a 21-10 record, including 5 wins against ranked opponents and an invitation to the NCAA tournament. So, we are honored today to invite Coach Joni Taylor to Clarke Middle School.
Oh, look at the signs. I love it, I love it, I love it. Hey, how's everybody doing? I need better than that. How is everybody doing? There we go, we're getting started. So I'm so happy to be here and talk to you today. I'm actually more excited that I don't have a mic now so I can move around and we can just talk and engage. Number one, I want you to know I'm here for you, right? So I'm gonna tell you about myself, talk a little bit, tell you what worked for me, and then I wanna give save some time for you guys to ask questions, right? There's not a question that's right, wrong, good, better, smart, dumb. Whatever you want to ask it. I'll give you an honest answer, okay? So here it is. I'm 42. I'll be 43 in March. I'm a 42-year-old black woman from Mississippi. I was born and raised in Meridian, Mississippi. Have always loved sports. I ran track. I did gymnastics. I did all those things. Started playing basketball when I was little. And then one day, one of my dad's friends, his daughter, came to our house because she was going to college. She lived in Mississippi and she was going to college in Alabama. And so the drive was too long for them to make just in one day, so they spent the night with us. We were outside playing basketball, and then I asked her, I said, what are you going to school there for? Why would you go all the way to Tuskegee when there's all these schools in Mississippi? Because that's all I knew was Mississippi. I'd never been on a plane. Never been to a sporting event outside of high school, nothing professional, small town, small town. And she said, they're paying me to play basketball. And I said, do what? She said, this college, I'm going there because they're going to give me an academic scholarship to play basketball. And I said, they do that? She said, yeah. And a light bulb went off for me. Because I was athletic, I was tall enough, I was pretty good, I was 6th, 7th grade, but that became my dream. That became my goal. Because here's the thing, I'm smart, but I'm smart because I study hard. I'm not just like academically gifted. My brother, he was academically gifted. I had to study really hard and work really hard to make good grades. So I didn't think I was gonna get a full academic scholarship on my own. My parents could not afford to pay for me to go to college. So when she said a sport would give me a free education, that was my ticket. That was my ticket. That was when I was in the 7th grade, and I just told you, how old am I? 42, and basketball is still paying my ticket to this day. To this day, basketball is still paying my ticket. It is how I make a living. It is how I impact lives of other young women. It is how I come before you today and try to speak life and hope into you and give you a dream. So that little round ball has been carrying me since the 7th grade, and it's still carrying me now. What that conversation did for me was it gave me a purpose. Okay, well, how do you get a scholarship? Well, number one, you have to be really, really good in basketball. So I started studying. I started studying the game. It wasn't a lot of women on TV at that time, so Michael Jordan was it for me. I watched every single time the Chicago Bulls were on TV. I watched his game. I watched Tim Duncan, who was a post player. I started studying the game. I became a student of the game because I wanted to be the best. Then I started figuring out in my city who was the player that everybody talked about because I had to go beat him. I had to go beat him. Who was the best person in my state? I had to go beat him. How do I get to a camp? How do I put myself on the map? I'm a small town kid from Mississippi. People aren't coming to see me. So how do I work to make a name for myself? So I worked hard. I started studying the game. I put in hours. I asked my dad, could we get a basketball goal in the backyard? started competing. He always put me against guys. I never played against the girls, always against the guys. And so as I continued to get better and get better, people started coming to watch us play, watch our high school team play. But you know what that meant? It meant that sometimes on Friday nights when my friends were going to the movies and they were going to the skating rink and they were going to hang out, I was in the gym. Or I was catching up on homework because I had been practicing. So there was some sacrifice that came along with me getting my dream. I couldn't go hang out on the street. I couldn't go walk around the mall all day and just chill because I had a goal and I had a purpose. And so I took that goal and that purpose and I made sure that nothing got in the way of it. And I also made sure that I didn't do anything to screw it up. Somebody tell me, raise your hand, what is something I could have done to screw it up?
Get caught fighting.
Huh? Get caught fighting, right? That's the question they ask you. Right now, as a coach, if somebody we're recruiting has been in a fight and gotten kicked out of school, we can no longer recruit them. That is a new rule that just got put in 2 years ago. What else is something I could have done? Drugs. We get drug tested. Our players get drug tested randomly. They show up, they tell them to go in the bathroom, here's a cup. Drugs, what else? What could I have done to prevent my dream from happening? Bad grades. Bad grades, they coexist. Doesn't matter how good you are in basketball, if you don't have the grades, you're not getting into school. There's a requirement, right? There's a requirement you have to have. So you can't do one without the other. So I had to study, had to make sure I didn't get caught up in riffraff, put the wrong things in my body, didn't get caught in conflict. I also had to make sure I wasn't lazy, take my talent for granted. We all have a gift. Everybody in this room has a gift. Have you figured out what yours is yet? It's okay if you haven't, you got time. But every single one of us has a superpower. And once you figure out what it is, you protect it, you learn how to make it your magic, and you don't let anybody or yourself stop you from making it happen. So that meant I had to study hard, I had to work really hard, I had to train really hard, and I had to keep myself out of trouble. And all the things you guys said, those were all great examples. I had to keep myself out of trouble. So now fast forward, high school, I get offered a scholarship. So that part of my dream happened. I got a full scholarship to play basketball at the University of Alabama. That's where I went to college. So I'd been the best everywhere I was, and then I show up to college, and good Lord. The first week I was there, I thought I was terrible. There were girls taller than me. I was the tallest person everywhere I went. There was girls taller than me, better than me, faster than me, older than me, stronger than me. I got pushed around in practice. So what happens when you face conflict? What happens when you face challenges? Here I was, had breezed my way through junior high, high school, was the best, the tallest, the fastest, the strongest. I got the ball every time, every play was for me. And now I'm a freshman in college, and I'm sitting on the bench. I'm not the best anymore, I'm not the fastest anymore, I'm not the strongest anymore. So then I had to learn how to deal with conflict. Not conflict, challenges, adversity, right? What is something you can do when you deal with adversity? I saw your hand up. What is something you can do? Has anybody ever had adversity? Something didn't go exactly the way you wanted? Has everything been pretty smooth for you guys so far? Who's had some adversity in here? Who's had some challenges in here? What is something you can do, a positive thing you can do when something comes to you that's a challenge? Any other hands? Work harder. Figure out how to get better. Put in extra time. Outsmart them. That's what I did. I looked at the people that played my position and I said, what can they do better than me? But what can I do better than them? How can I get on the floor? I'm faster than her. I screen better than her. I'm stronger than her. Hold on, if I run hard, I'm the fastest one of all three of them. So that's what I became known for. I figured out what I could do better than the people at my position, and I went out there and did it every single day. Now I didn't magically start. That took a whole year of figuring it out, getting in the weight room, getting stronger. But by my sophomore year, I was where I needed to be. But when you face a challenge, and we're all going to face them, we're all going to face them, you have two choices. You can sit in it, you can deflect, you can make excuses, or you can figure out how to fix it. You can figure out how to change it. You can figure out how to continue working to get yourself out of it. And that means you're telling yourself the right thing, you're around people, and you have people in your life that tell you the right thing and that encourage you, and you keep working at it. Because we're all going to face challenges. That's life. That's life. It's how you respond to it. There's a saying that I tell our players all the time. It's event plus response equals your outcome. So it's E plus R equals O. E is the event, R is your response, and O is the outcome. Things happen. The event happens. Sometimes we don't control the thing that happens. But you can always control what? Your response. You can always control your response. And 9 times out of 10, your response to the event is what determines the outcome. It's not the event itself. It's your response to the event. So you can respond positive or you can respond negative. And I promise you, most of the time, how you respond is going to determine the outcome. So control your response. And by doing that, you control the outcome. And so that's what I chose to do. Okay? So, number 1, figure out your passion. Figure out what your secret sauce is. Work really, really, really hard at it. And then when challenging times come, work even harder. Dig yourself out of the hole. Tell yourself the right things. Okay? Protect your passion. Protect your peace. Some things I learned along the way. Somebody's always watching. Somebody's always watching. When I was a senior in college, my degree's in secondary education. I was going to be a teacher and a counselor. Okay, I never had any thoughts of being a coach. Secondary ed, social science major. I was going to go to grad school, get my counseling degree, teach for 2 years. Is that the requirement still? You got to teach 2 years before you can become a counselor? I was going to teach 2 years and be a high school counselor. That was my dream. And then my senior year, when I was done playing basketball, I was given an opportunity to coach. And the person that gave it to me was one of my coaches at Alabama. He was my post coach. We have position coaches. So there's a guard coach, there's a post coach, and there's the head coach. So my post coach had just gotten a head job somewhere else. And he called me up and he said to me, "Hey, I just got a job and I want you to come be my assistant coach." And I said, "What? I don't know anything about coaching. I don't know how to draw up plays. I don't know how to do film. I don't know." He's like, "You'll be fine. You'll be fine. You're smart. You work hard. You've got the right personality. You played for me. You know my philosophy. You'll be fine." What I learned in that moment, this was a man who had been an assistant coach for 16 years. And he had finally been given a chance to be a head coach. That's a hard thing, to become a head coach in college. It's hard, really, really hard to get that opportunity. So here he is with his first opportunity to be a head coach, and he's asking this 23-year-old kid to come be his first assistant. Why? I wasn't perfect. I wasn't perfect. I messed things up sometimes, but I always tried to do the right thing. And so that was the first time I really, people tell you all the time somebody's always watching you, right? You've heard that before. But that was the first time that it really stuck for me, because he's taking a chance on me. He could have asked anybody. If I had been late to practice, if I'd had bad grades, if I had a slick mouth and talked back and been given attitude, you think he would have called me? No. So you never know who's watching you, and you never know who's going to be in a position to help you or to hurt you. So do the right thing. We all know right from wrong, right? It's just, are we going to choose to do it or not? But we all know right from wrong. So make sure you're doing the right thing. So somebody's always watching you. The next thing I've learned is that One of the things that basketball and playing a sport has done for me is it has allowed me to be around a lot of different people from a lot of different backgrounds. And that is a blessing. It has allowed me to learn to get out of my bubble and learn other cultures. It has allowed me to learn how to be on a team. And even when I don't agree with everything that happens on the team or what somebody else says on the team, we are a team. We've got to figure this thing out. We got to come together. So it taught me conflict resolution. It has allowed me to open up my ears and seek to understand before I'm understood. See, what I used to do, if you were talking to me, the whole time you're talking to me, instead of me listening to you, I was working on my response back. What am I gonna say back? What am I gonna say back? I didn't hear anything they said because I was too busy trying to get my get back ready. But now I listen. I try to understand before I'm understood. We always want to get our point across, but what about the person who's talking to you? So if I would have known these things at the age that I'm sharing them with you, it would have saved me a lot of grief. A lot of grief. So you never know who's watching. Be kind, do the right thing, seek to understand, and then surround yourself with the right people. That is so important. So important. Because here's something that I learned as I got older. You are who you hang around. You are who you hang around. So even though I didn't do drugs, I've never done drugs, if I'm in a car with somebody who's doing drugs, selling drugs, I'm hanging out with somebody who is, and they get caught and I'm standing there, I'm right there with them. So surround yourself with the right people. Same thing with conflict, with fighting, all those things. Okay, surround yourself with the right people. Find somebody in your school, in your church, in your home, in your neighborhood, in your city that you look up to. For me, it was Oprah Winfrey. Y'all know who Oprah Winfrey is? Y'all know who Robin Roberts is? Anybody know who Robin Roberts is? She's on morning television. She's from Mississippi. Oprah Winfrey's from Mississippi. Two black women who came out of the same state that I came from, who I turn on the TV and see every single day. If they can do it, then I can too. So find that person. Find that person. Watch them, follow them, emulate them. Let them inspire you. Okay, so I just wanted to share that with you. I challenge you to bring your best every single day because you don't get today back. And tomorrow is not promised. So every single day, bring your best. I want to save some time if you guys have questions. I'd love to answer any for you guys. So I'm going to stop now and see if there's any questions in the room. Yes, sir.
Who does your scouting?
Who does my scouting? We have 3 assistant coaches, and we take our schedule. We get our schedule like in September, October, and we split it up evenly between our 3 assistant coaches, and they each do scouts. And so like when we are in the SEC, that's the conference we're in, once we get to SEC, we try to keep them with the same scouts every year. So like we've been here for 7 years now. One coach has had the same team for 7 years, so you become familiar with them, you know them, and so obviously the team changes, but the philosophy of the coach doesn't. But our assistant coaches prepare like a folder this thick with all the information I need, and then they hand it to me. It's kind of like the cheat sheet. I read it, I look at it, and then I start watching film. So that's how it works.
And one more.
Yep.
Have you ever seen like someone that's projected to be really good, and then they like made a really big mistake and couldn't play anymore?
Oh, all the time. Happens all the time. There was a player who went to college. She was really, really good, and she cheated in college. It's this thing in college called academic fraud. And if you cheat in college and get caught, your coach can't get you out of it, your teacher can't get you out of it, your mom and dad can't get you out of it. You go before a board, and the board determines your fate. And they kicked her out of school. She was a freshman in college. She cheated, kicked her out of school. Happens all the time. I saw somebody else on TV, a football player. He was projected to go number 2 in the NFL draft. Number 2. Y'all, that's long money. Long money at number 2. And 2 days before the draft, a video came out of him smoking. And he went from 2 to like the 3rd round. And that difference in money is like generational substantial. So yes, it happens all the time. All it takes is one mistake. Anybody else have a question?
What's your players'
Say it again.
What's your players' daily schedule?
What's the players' daily schedule? Hard, long. In the summer, they don't go home, right? It's year round. It's a different level of commitment at this level. So they get to go home in the month of May. They show up in June. They work out on Mondays and Fridays. They wake up at 6 in the morning and go to the track, and they have conditioning. Then they go to class. They come back. They have individual workouts with their position coaches. So the guards get with their position coach. The forwards get with their position coach. They go to weights. Then they'll come back and we have a team practice. Then they'll go to dinner, and scattered through all that is mentoring and study hall and sometimes community service. On Tuesday, Thursdays, we run in the evening. So twice a week we run in the morning and twice in the evening. Why? It takes all of it is mental toughness. All of it is character building. I want to know who can function at 6 a.m. The other 2 days we go at 3 o'clock. It's hot in June at 3 o'clock, isn't it? Now, obviously, if there's a heat advisory, we're not taking them outside, but I also want to know who can function in tough times, who can still think when things are really, really hard. And so what we want is to put them on the verge of not impossible, but uncomfortable. I want them comfortable being uncomfortable. Because if everything is smooth, then how do I know how they're going to respond when they hit some adversity like we talked about earlier? So we challenge them really, really hard so we can see and they can figure out how to get over that and learn how to function in it. So that's the summer. And then when school starts in the fall, we don't have morning workouts anymore. They wake up, they go to class, they have tutoring, they have mentoring, they have lunch, they come do rehab on their bodies. We practice from about, like today, we go at 2:30. So it depends on their class schedule. Sometimes we go at 3. We practice for about 2.5 hours. Then they go to study hall, dinner, study hall some more, and then we travel. So we leave today, we play Arkansas tomorrow at Arkansas. So we'll practice today at 2:30, we'll shower, we'll eat, we'll get on a plane, we'll land in Arkansas, we'll eat again, we'll go to bed. Tomorrow they'll wake up, we'll watch film, they'll have study hall, we'll go have a shoot around, we'll come back, we'll eat, we'll go play the game, we'll get on the plane, and we'll be back here at like 1 o'clock in the morning tomorrow if all goes well because it's supposed to snow. And then they're gonna wake up at 7 a.m. and go to class. And they probably didn't get into bed until 2 in the morning. So it's a grind. But the sacrifice is worth the reward on the other end of it. Any other questions? Anybody else have questions? Anybody? Is there something else that I need to touch on that I did not? No? Well, thank you guys so much. I was so honored to be here to speak with you today. If you guys ever want to come to a game, reach out to your principal, your assistant principal. They know how to contact me. We'll leave you tickets. We have a fun game, a fun environment, and just wish you guys the best of luck with everything, okay? Thanks for having me today.
Clarke Middle School. On behalf of the Clarke County School District, on behalf of the Superintendent's Office, on behalf of Clarke Middle School, on behalf of our Heritage Committee, the University of Georgia, everyone who was involved in youth, I thank you because that was really something that we needed. We needed that dialogue, we needed that advice, we needed to take that moment out. So for Coach Taylor to take that opportunity to come speak to us really means something. And I think we have more presentations right here.
Yes, right here.
Y'all want to come forward?
Yes.
Oh, wait, come on. Oh, really? Yay!
Oh, bro.
You can later. We can do it later.
Camera right there if you want to. Go to the camera.
So, what does it say? What does it say?
What's my plaque say?
Oh, it's a. They can't hear you.
You got it. Come on.
What am I supposed to say?
Read it. Just read it.
Clarke Middle School Certificate of
Appreciation.
Appreciation. It's presented to Coach Joni Taylor.
Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you.